Hi, it's Michael, TMI Lab, here with the U20 Roland once again for another little video here. As I've said before, like in the last video, I was talking about how I just kind of skip over some of these details because there's so much content out there on how to do basic soldering and solder removal and all that. I'm sure there's tons of things out there, but I figured I'd go ahead and record this. I've already pulled these switches out from this side. They went very, very well, I would say. I'm pleased. I wasn't sure if this is something that I would recommend, but I'll be doggone, the thing works. The only thing you got to watch out for is push the plunger in to set it. You hit the button to suck the solder out, and then when you hit the button to reset it again, that little end comes out right here, and that just gets rid of the solder that you just sucked. So don't be clicking this thing over your instrument. Take it away from the field of work in order to do that. And all I did was I went through here and I heated up these pads one at a time, pulled these out. Actually, I can do another one now because I got to do this row as well. So I'll go ahead and do, say, this one right here. And sometimes you have to reflow, and it's probably a better way of doing this. Some delicious leaded solder with a little bit of flux on it, and just reflow that particular pad with that switch on it. There we go. And that will make it extract a little easier. Getting some fresh solder on. And apparently, that's my tester, my multi-tester talking. You can tell when it's time to get a new tip for your iron when it takes forever to get it to heat up. Okay, so let's try our handy dandy little sucker. I hope you have a good vantage point here. Pressed. Look at that. That's actually a really good extraction. Take it away from the field of work to dispel, and do it again for the next one. So this is what you missed the first time I did this. Let me just take a look at that. I'm going to test and see if the button is loose, and it is wiggly. Now the legs are bent, so they poke them through and bend them and then solder them. I'm just going to kind of straighten them up a little bit. And I'm going to use my honking pliers only to get a good grab on this. There is a diode right next to it, and you do need to watch out for that. And that should pull out an awful lot easier than that. All of these other ones did. Okay, I think my solder is not removed all the way. That can happen. It just did. All right. Let's see. I think it has just a little bit of solder left underneath. The way that is bent down, yeah, it's loose. Let me just make sure. But yeah, there's a diode right there next to that. I mean, you should be able to pull this out by hand once it gets to that point, and I think I did. Yep, there it is. There she is, the rest of that switch. Since that didn't go as cleanly as I would have hoped, I'm going to do another one for you. Delicious lead solder. I am not a fan of lead-free solder. Just a personal preference, I'm sure. I think most engineers feel the same way. Electrical engineers, I think they do. There we go. She's heating up now. There we go. That's a good reflow. All right, outside the field, click, make sure it is clean. It is. Now we will reheat that pad that I just reflowed. Get that silicone tip on there. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to do it just one more time, just in case. Yeah. And the leg is bent a little bit, and now it is loose, and I kind of bent it up a little bit. Let me get that other one. Yeah, the only other components that's near on this row, actually on both rows it does have that, excuse me. So that one came out on the first go. Is a diode, so you don't want to be overheating stuff. Just enough to do the job. And there's an extraction. That molar is gone. Might as well get the rest of these while I am at it. And if you get bored with this, you've seen enough, you can stop watching, because I know how boring this can get. But this solder sucker reminds me of one that I had a long time ago. I got from Radio Shack. I managed a Radio Shack in Tulsa in the mid-'80s. And yeah, I was only with the company for about 6 months and ended up getting my own store. And I must say, I think we had the best reputation at our store because, for one thing, people that would buy stuff from us, like VCRs was a big thing. That's how long ago that was. They could bring them in, and if they weren't working, and I would fix them. I did a lot of cleanings, cleaning the head or the heads. Yeah, I kind of went above and beyond because I liked working on stuff, and I didn't mind helping out the customers, and they were pretty loyal. But it's funny, back then it was like $200 or $300 for a VCR. The same stuff you'll find at a swap meet for $5, you know. Technology has certainly moved. I remember one time I'm at home. I've been working at this Radio Shack probably, I would say about 7 or 8 months. And I got a call. You know, we didn't have cell phones back then. It was landline. And I got a call from the security company, and they said that my store had gotten broken into. So I went to the store. It took me about 20 minutes to get there. And someone had broken through the big plate glass window in the front of the store. And they started ripping stereos and VCRs off of the shelves that they were displayed on. Little did they know that when I plugged in these displays, I had these brackets that I would put on the power cord and actually screw them to the shelves. So unless they were willing to cut the cords, which I guess if you're a smart thief, that would have been something to do, they wouldn't know to, you know, how to get the VCR off. They just pulled them, and the cord was the security cable in effect. So when I got there, I had stereos and VCRs that were just hanging from the shelf. And it was, I think it was 4 VCRs, 3 stereos, something like that. And we had big, nice tape decks. They stole some speakers. You know, Tandy speakers were the best at, you know, one of the best on the market, in the consumer market at the time. We had really good speakers. Our VCRs were made by RCA. No one was supposed to know that. I only knew it because I opened them up and worked on them, and there were RCA components inside. And then, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I called up my regional manager that night and woke him up because this was like 2 in the morning. And I said, store just got broken into. Oh no, yeah, they busted the plate glass and came in and they tried to steal all the displays. I don't think they made it to the back. I didn't see anything missing in back stock, and that's where stuff was. The displays were just displays. If you wanted to buy the unit, we would either, on the lesser expensive stuff, common stuff that sold fast, we would have on the shelf right there below the display. But the majority of the big stuff was actually in the back. So I said, no, they messed up a lot of our displays though. And he says, well, all right, just reorder to cover your displays and then toss those units. And I said, well, I could fix them. You know, some of them it's just a power cord, and you know, I don't know if there's any other damage or anything. I wouldn't think there would be, but no, I'll just toss them. I said, come on, really? I can't do that in good conscience. He goes, well, I don't care what you do with them, but you're not going to sell them in the store, so just go ahead and do whatever with them. I said, oh. So, and I flat out asked him, so if I take them and get rid of them in my own way, yeah, that's all right. So I went home with quite a bit of gear that night. Thank you, robbers. He said don't sell them. It's my only thing that I couldn't do. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine with that. So I ended up personally owning some top-of-the-line Tandy Radio Shack, aka RCA audio and video equipment. And what I did was I fixed up what I could, which I think all of it, I got it all fixed. I don't think there's anything that was like terminally no good. But I got it all fixed. And then I gave 2 of my employees, I only had 2 employees there, so all of my employees technically received some nice equipment as a little bonus. I got a VCR for my bedroom, and I brought in a few more. I think it was a stereo and a real nice tape deck and EQ modular system. I brought those in, and I had a guy that came in who was a good regular customer, and I gave him one. I said, just take your pick. And yeah, donated, gave away. I kept VCR, and back then that was a pretty big deal. You got a VCR in your living room and your bedroom. Wow. So today that's nothing, of course. True story. Those are some good days at Radio Shack. I don't know what happened to them. Was it the DPT? Is that what ended Radio Shack? Maybe somebody out there knows what happened to them. I don't know. There was one in Oklahoma City, the last one that I saw, and it was in business for quite a while. I think it shut down maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. Old Radio Shack. Tandy Radio Shack. Started out, I believe, as a leather company. Like, they sold leather fixing stuff. I don't know. Leather burning. Leather. Making belts. They had kits. Never had them in my store. But those were the days when they had dollar per ticket averages you had to maintain. And if you didn't do that, it was like $17 per ticket. And this was back mid-80s, mid to late 80s. And if you didn't maintain that dollar per ticket average, you didn't make a commission on anything. So you had to maintain. And so we had, I mean, for enthusiasts, radio enthusiasts, and engineers like I was trying to be, it was very difficult dealing with them. They'd come in and they'd buy a 19-cent resistor, and that's it, you know. I mean, there might be other things that they buy, a couple of little things, but yeah, I mean, when you're selling things that have a value of a dime or 15 cents, it's tough to maintain that dollar per ticket average when someone comes in. They expect you to upsell everybody. So, yeah, that was the only downside to that gig. But I had good times there. I'm really having trouble with that tip. I'm going to have to get a new one. One moment while I try to tin this thing proper. Always tin your tip. This one just doesn't want to receive. I do believe that is my problem. I'm going to have to get a new tip. Anyway, yeah, that was good times. It was fun being in the industry somewhere. Retail's never fun though, right? Anyway, okay, so I pulled all those. Holes are clean enough. And I just installed another switch right there. So we have a switch one, there's a switch there, and I got to do that the rest. All I got to do now is just install the rest of them. I am waiting for the rest of my switches. I think I have about 8 more of these. And I'm going to install them, and then I'll have to just hold off until I get more. And in that previous video, I did leave a link for these particular switches, and you can get them. This kit is pretty interesting. They've got the difference, like this right here is a 6x6 by 5H, and it has leads on the side. These are dual leads. These are quad leads, 4 pins. And these are actually 6x6 by 4.3H. But it's a pretty good little set. I mean, I don't know when I would use some of these, but you got these little fellows here. Oh, those are small. Anyway, yep, that is it. So that's my at least deep dive in getting the old switches out and getting the new switches soldered in. Just rinse and repeat all the way across. That's it. Pretty simple. Make sure you have a good tip on your iron. So, and I am quite pleased with this, I have to say. I am quite pleased with this. Yeah. Okay, I can endorse this. I'll put a link in the description for this neat little metal. It's made out of metal. It feels good in the hand. It's got a good pull. It's got a nice tip, which is important. That silicone tip, it just kind of wraps around it and really gets it going. Again, just make sure when you're cleaning it out, when you're replunging this thing, you do that outside your field of work, so you don't leave any dingleberries dropping into your synth and making more work for yourself. That's it, y'all. I hope that helps somebody. Let me know if it does. Rock on.